Hi, I'm Kyron and welcome to my YouTube channel. First of all, I just wanted to make something very, very clear. Black Lives Matter. That's the first thing, that's the most important thing right now. That's what we need to be chanting, it's what we need to be posting, it's what we need to be talking about with our friends and family. That's the only thing that matters right now. But because that's kind of what matters right now, I think there's a type of person at this time who's feeling a bit attacked. If they're not feeling attacked by the fact that we're making this an issue, they're feeling attacked by the fact that everything is kind of going crazy according to them. The protests are too violent, properties being destroyed, businesses are being damaged, and people are really upset about this, which is understandable to a certain extent. But what I feel is happening is that the conversation seems to be less about what's happening and why people are upset and more about optics. And it bothers me that it's about optics. And nothing bothers me more than a video made by conservative pundit Candace Owens that everybody has been sharing around. It's gotten like 40 million views, maybe more, on Facebook. And I just find that to be interesting because people have been sharing this video as if to say, it's not just me. It's not just me as a white person. It's not just me as somebody who's non-black. There's a black woman who's saying that she doesn't think that the protest is very good as well. So it kind of gives them this strength and this comfort knowing that, okay, I'm not racist because I have a black person who agrees with me. But let's take a look at some of what Candace has to say.
Hello, Facebook family. I have decided to do this video. It has been weighing very heavily on my heart and on my mind as well. And it was something that I wanted to say early on, but there were so many emotions and so much pressure for me to go with the popular opinion about who George Floyd was. And sometimes it can be difficult when there are just so many external pressures to say what you believe. And this was an instance where I felt like my silence would have been better in the beginning, but the more that I think about it, I realize that we are being sold a lot of lies, and at the detriment to the black community, at the detriment to the white community, and at the detriment to America as a whole. So I want to come out and say that I do not support George Floyd and the media depiction of him as a martyr for Black America. I'm going to explain why, and I hope that some of you guys will understand where I'm coming from.
Basically, she spends 18 minutes talking about how George Floyd is the wrong type of person to build a movement around. And what this tells me is that she doesn't seem to understand what the movement is actually about. It's not about George Floyd in particular, though it does include him. It's about the laundry list of people who have been affected by it. It's about black people who feel terrorized by the police in general and don't feel safe. It's about those things and George Floyd. It's about the fact that he lost his life in a horrible way. She mentions that he has a criminal past. That's irrelevant. At the end of the day, the police were called in for a non-violent crime that resulted in the death of a man. It's not okay. And for her to reframe the conversation to being about George Floyd not necessarily being the right person for this movement, it reminds me of something that happened a long time ago. You may have heard about it. Rosa Parks was not the first black person to say that she didn't want to sit at the back of the bus. That was actually Claudette Colvin. And because she was a teenager and she was pregnant and she didn't apparently have the right look, they decided to use Rosa instead of using Claudette. And I find that to be really problematic now. And for you to reframe the narrative again to say that George Floyd is not the right type of person, how dare you?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What's worse is when non-black people share this video and they feel as if, this is a black voice that I could agree with, because the black voice that's right in front of me is not the most valid one because it goes against your own opinion. So you've now pit Candace against me, which is kind of what she wants, I suppose. She wants to be a conservative voice in the African American community. And you're pitting her against people who may be in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. And I find that to be maybe a microaggression. I just don't like it.
Something about this doesn't sit right in my spirit.
And then there's conservative YouTuber Blaire White. She's trans, she's part of the LGBTQ community, as am I, but our politics can be more different. Her takes are a bit spicier than I like, and, well, I have a sensitive stomach. So she and I really don't see eye to eye on many, many issues. And here are a couple of her spiciest takes.
Because I believe that 7-year-olds should not be going to doctor's appointments about how to stop their puberty, that biologically male athletes should not be able to steal championships and titles from biologically female athletes, that it's not transphobic if you don't want to date me, although it does mean you have bad taste.
Blaire doesn't really seem to care that her opinions are just, well, wrong. We're all entitled to have an opinion, but that doesn't mean that that opinion is deserving of respect or validation. Kids don't like broccoli, but we still make them have broccoli in their meals because it's healthy. So, opinions are opinions. You're allowed to have them. Everybody has one.
Okay. Whatever that means.
Blaire's content seems to be all about addressing the most extreme issues. Of course, there are going to be people who are extreme in any political movement, but I think the majority of people aren't necessarily advocating for putting very, very young kids on hormone blockers. And hormone blockers are a thing that you could come off of and you'll be okay. I think if Blaire were to maybe do a bit of research, she would know that. As it relates to sports and trans women in sports, again, there are rules and regulations in a lot of these sports that protect cisgender women, meaning biological women. So trans women are going to compete if they're within range of what a cisgender woman would be able to do. And as it relates to not wanting to date somebody who's trans, I think it's okay to not want to date somebody who's trans for a particular reason. But if the reason is that you just don't want to deal with somebody who's trans, then I think you are transphobic. Personally, I find it difficult to be with somebody who's trans as much as I respect and value their identity. Based on my life, based on my role when I'm with a partner, it's going to be difficult for me to be satisfied in many ways in that relationship. So I wouldn't necessarily consider myself transphobic. I just consider myself a bit more realistic. So if your situation perhaps is not going to allow you to be with a trans person because of the requirements of a relationship for you, meaning, well, you know, when it comes down to the brass tacks, then I don't think that that's really transphobic. I think you're just looking at your situation holistically. Basically, Candace and Blaire are bad reflections of the communities that they claim to come from. They do not reflect the opinions of everybody, and to use them against a black voice that you disagree with, I think is a real issue. I think you really need to rethink it before you do it. Before you share that video, before you give it to a friend, before you like it, before you share it with anybody, anyway, put it on Twitter. I think you really need to think about the variety of voices within that community, because everybody in that community is not Candace. Everybody in that community is not Blaire. And for you to say, I'm not racist, there's a black girl who agrees with me, this is my black friend Candace, or I'm not transphobic, this is my trans friend Blaire, that doesn't really help. because you've just found that one person who might agree with you, but there are a variety of voices, and you're rejecting those voices because they disagree with you. And I think that you need to do better. These people are not good reflections. They have their own agendas, and that's fine. They have their own careers, they have their own channels, and I think they need to do what they need to do if this is what they truly believe. But you, as a consumer, I think you should look for a diversity of voices.
Name me 10, I will wait. Name me 10, I will wait.
Well, you made it to the end. I'm so glad that you did. Thank you for watching my first YouTube video. I know it's not the absolute best quality. I'm working on it. It's just taking time. I was waiting for lots of different things to come, but I just wanted to talk about everything now. So please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me my pearls are cute, tell me my hat is hideous. Feel free to say anything. And if you do go down in the comment section, please leave a heart. A heart from your emoji section. Leave a heart so that I would know that you actually watched till the end. Okay? Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.